Maya had learned early in life that hunger was not just a feeling in the stomach, but a weight on the soul, a quiet ache that made even hope feel expensive. And as she stood behind the counter of the small roadside cafe wiping the same wooden surface she had already cleaned twice, she felt that ache in a different way, watching it in others rather than feeling it herself. The cafe smelled of burnt coffee and warm bread, the kind of place where truck drivers stopped for quick meals and tired office workers escaped during lunch breaks, and Maya had been working there since she was 19, balancing trays with one hand and dreams with the other. She was 24 now, a young waitress with tired eyes and a gentle smile that never quite faded, even when her feet hurt or when customers snapped their fingers at her, as if she were invisible. Her life was simple: long shifts, shared rent in a tiny apartment, sending a little money to her sick mother every month, and eating whatever food she could afford at the end of the day. That afternoon, the lunch rush had slowed, and Maya finally unwrapped the sandwich. She had packed from home 2 slices of bread, a little cheese, and a thin layer of leftover chicken she had carefully saved from the night before. It wasn't fancy, but it was hers, and she had been thinking about it since morning. Just as she took her first bite, the bell above the cafe door rang softly, and a little girl stepped inside, her small hands clutching the straps of an oversized backpack. The child looked no older than 6 or 7, her hair slightly messy, her dress clean but worn, and her eyes, those eyes, kept drifting toward the counter where the food was displayed. Maya noticed immediately, because she always noticed children who looked like they were carrying more than they should at that age. The girl didn't sit down or speak. She just stood there, shifting her weight from one foot to the other, staring at the pictures of sandwiches taped to the wall. Maya watched as the cafe owner glanced at the child, and then went back to counting money. Clearly uninterested, something tightened in Maya's chest. She remembered being that child once, standing outside a bakery with empty pockets, pretending she wasn't hungry. Maya walked over slowly, crouched to the girl's level, and asked gently if she was lost. The girl shook her head, her voice barely a whisper, as she said she was waiting for her father. Maya smiled and asked where he was, and the girl shrugged, saying he was busy and would come soon. But her stomach betrayed her, letting out a soft growl that made her cheeks flush with embarrassment. Without thinking, without calculating the cost or consequences, Maya unwrapped her own sandwich and held it out. "Here," she said softly. "You must be hungry." The girl's eyes widened in surprise, and for a moment she hesitated, as if she had been taught not to accept kindness too easily. "It's okay," Maya added, smiling. "I already ate." It was a small lie, but one that felt right. The girl took the sandwich with both hands and whispered a shy "thank you" before sitting at a corner table and eating slowly, carefully, as if afraid the food might disappear if she rushed. Maya returned to the counter, her stomach still empty but her heart strangely full. She didn't notice the man watching from outside the cafe, the tall figure standing across the street, his expensive coat blending into the background of passing traffic. His sharp eyes focused not on the building, but on the small act unfolding inside. He had been delayed by an urgent phone call, one that carried the weight of boardrooms, investments, and numbers that decided the fate of thousands. And he had asked his daughter to wait just a few minutes inside the cafe while he finished business. He hadn't expected much, certainly not kindness from a stranger, as the little girl finished the last bite of the sandwich and wiped her hands on a napkin. She looked up and smiled for the first time that day, and in that moment, something shifted, unseen but powerful, setting into motion a chain of events that would change Maya's life forever. And as viewers, remember this: sometimes the smallest acts of kindness are the loudest prayers answered. So if stories like this touch your heart, don't forget to subscribe to the channel, because every story here reminds us that humanity still wins, one small choice at a time. The man finally stepped inside the cafe just as the little girl finished her sandwich, and the bell above the door rang again, this time carrying a different weight, as if the air itself recognized his presence. He was well-dressed but not flashy, the kind of man whose wealth whispered rather than shouted. And when his eyes found his daughter sitting quietly at the corner table, relief softened the sharp lines of his face before confusion took over. Because she was smiling, something she rarely did in unfamiliar places. He walked over quickly, kneeling beside her, asking if she was all right, if anyone had bothered her, if she was scared. And the girl shook her head eagerly, pointing toward the counter where Maya was refilling water glasses, completely unaware that the course of her life was about to change. "She gave me her sandwich," the girl said proudly, crumbs still on her fingers. "She said it was okay." The man turned slowly, his gaze settling on Maya. And in that moment he wasn't a millionaire, a company owner, or a powerful decision-maker. He was just a father, trying to understand why a stranger would give up her own meal for his child. Maya noticed him watching and offered a polite smile, the same one she gave everyone. But something about his eyes made her pause. They weren't cold or demanding like many wealthy customers she had served before, but searching, as if he were trying to read a story written between the lines of her face. He walked up to the counter and thanked her, his voice calm but sincere, and Maya shrugged lightly, saying it was nothing, that the girl was hungry and that was all that mattered. "It was my lunch," she added with a small laugh. "But I'll survive." Those words struck him harder than he expected. He ordered a full meal for his daughter and insisted on paying extra. But Maya refused the tip gently, saying she didn't do it for money. That refusal stayed with him long after they left the café.